Actually, we are live now.
You have 4 o'clock?
I have 3:59, but
Okay.
we are live on YouTube.
We're live. Okay. I do have 3:59 as well on both my computer and my phone. So. Yes.
Does George start the meeting?
No. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the Bloomington Liquor Commission to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Powell?
Here.
Commissioner Jordan?
Here.
Commissioner Renner?
Here. Thank you very much. And as you have mentioned, there is no public comment. Is that correct, Madam
That
Clerk?
is correct. No one has called in for public comment.
Okay. We have consideration and action to approve minutes from the March 10th, 2020 regular Liquor Commission meeting as requested by the City Clerk Department. Are there any corrections to those minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve them as submitted.
Moved by Commissioner Jordan. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Powell. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Renner?
Yes. Okay, the minutes will stand as they have presented. We move to a public hearing on an action on application of Bloomington Normal Sunrise Rotary requesting a Class LB license. And that's for their traditional annual brats and bags on Friday, August 7th, 2020. And as we noted, Commissioner Powell will be recusing herself. Is that correct, Commissioner Powell?
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have any, do we have a representative from the Sunrise Rotary with us?
We do.
Just, excuse me, George Boyle, statement for the record that the reason for the recusal is that she's a member of the applicant organization.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, she's a member of the applicant organization. Okay. And yeah, if we can go ahead and have our representative just outline what this is and if there's any difference between the events or this event from previous years.
Before we do that, I'll have to swear her in.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's true. Oh, that's right. This is a public hearing. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
If you would swear her in.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. If you could just outline and tell us a little bit about the event. Does it differ from the events of the past?
No, I mean, we are still planning to move forward with this event as is. Obviously, with everything going on, we have some contingency plans in place, but we are moving forward. Same as in years past, brought some bags, first Friday in August. It'll be August 7th, 2020. We'll have a brats lunch downtown, and then the bags tournament, which is what this liquor license would be for in the evening.
Great. Do we have any questions? Actually, I guess we only have one liquor commissioner. Mr. Jordan, do you have any questions?
Are you talking to me, Mayor?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner Jordan. Yeah, do you have any questions? I just wanted to turn to you.
I guess maybe the hours. I'm not. I don't have the minutes in front of me. So can you give me the hours of the event?
Yeah, so the lunch is from 11 to 2, and then the bags portion, which this is really centered around, is from about 5 to 10, and we would start serving probably around 4:30, I believe, is what the application said.
Okay.
So 4:30 done by 10.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, and just for the record, Madam Clerk, you said that no one had called in on this.
That's correct.
Okay, so there is no one in opposition.
George
Yep.
Boyle, I wanted to make a statement that all the, with respect to the motions of this kind, the motion for approval we'd ask to be made subject If there is a motion to approve, that it be made subject to the license and the event being consistent with all local ordinances and executive orders in place at the time, since we don't know what's going to be happening in August.
Yeah.
And that's the job of our attorney to tell us that we've got to keep following the rules and dotting the i's and crossing the t's. So is there a motion? And it would have to come from you or me, Commissioner Jordan?
Yes, I would make a motion as stated by the attorney regarding the content of the I guess the content of what he just stated.
Okay, so essentially approval based on the assumption that all ordinances and other things are in order. Okay, and I would second that motion. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, okay, motion carries. And again, we hope that things work out well and that Sunrise Rotary gets to operate brats and bags again. Thank you.
Thank you.
We move right along. Next, we have a public hearing with Little Beaver Brewery. And this is at 16 Currency Drive, requesting to redefine their approved area for consumption with a permanent extension of premises to allow an outdoor service and consumption area as requested by the City Clerk Department. Do we have a representative from Little Beaver Brewery here?
We do.
And then we do have someone calling in?
We do.
Okay, and they would both need to be sworn in. So we'll go ahead and start with the petitioner. If you'll go ahead and swear the petitioner in.
Mr. Bevers,
Yes,
will you please raise your right hand?
Yeah.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us a little bit about your plan and the reason for this?
Yeah, so we were approved a couple years ago for a patio space on the, well, let me think here. It would be the west side of the building. So it was basically just a section in our parking lot that we put out some picnic tables and, you know, some barriers and stuff like that as we were asked to do. And it's worked out well, but in the afternoon sun, it really, you know, beats down. We don't have permanent structure or anything like that to provide shade. There's no way to put any trees or anything. A lot has happened with our company and the growth that we've seen over the last few years since we've got started. And I switched to some new business partners a little over a year ago, and they actually purchased the building that we lease for the brewery. Along with that purchase, they also acquired the building, or sorry, the empty lot that was directly behind our building on the east side. So we received and got all the permitting that we needed for building a parking lot and then a patio on the east side of the building, which then provides shade. It's a much better upgraded space, and we would basically just like to have the permission to be able to have the beer garden there. It'll be fenced in, nice and secure. So that's really the gist of what we're trying to do.
Okay. Questions by our liquor commissioners?
So it looks like you've got your hours for the outdoor patio listed for, it looks like 9 p.m. and then 10 p.m. on the weekends. That'll be the outdoor area?
Yeah, inside we're only open till 11 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. And then I think we close at 9 o'clock on Thursday and then 8 o'clock every other day of the week. So our typical client base isn't those that are looking to go out and be out late and partying and stuff like that. It's, individuals that want to, just come out and have a few drinks and have a good time. So we don't feel the need to stay open till 11 o'clock at night. Commissioner
Jordan?
I don't have any questions. As far as I'm concerned, I reread what the actual outline of it was, and it seemed to me like I didn't have anything to add to it.
Okay. Commissioner Powell, anything else?
The only other thing I can think is, like live music. I didn't know if that's something you planned on, and it probably wouldn't be a problem in that area anyways, because it's not residential. So that'd be the only other question I had.
Yeah, we've never really done much with live music. I mean, if that's something that we were gonna do, it would be on a case by case type of basis. Probably, we've been approved to do some parking lot type parties and stuff in the past, which, whenever all the COVID things are gone and we're allowed to return to a model like that, we'd love to do so. But we try to be respectful of our neighbors. And if we did any live music, we would ask for permission before we would proceed to doing that. So,
Okay.
but never any like really large outdoor concerts or anything. We're not anticipating anything like that.
Mayor, just a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, Chad, this is George Boyle. About how many people are we thinking? Do you have an idea what your capacity would be out there in the new space?
Off the top of my head, I do not, to be honest. I think we anticipate seating for around 40 total.
Okay. And is it entirely enclosed or just partially enclosed?
The entire area will be fenced in with locking gates for the evenings. Obviously, not locking anyone in. So.
Right. Okay. I have no further questions. I would make a statement that we haven't had any issues with this place.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Boyle. Can we have someone who wants to speak?
Mhm.
Would you go ahead and recognize them and swear them in?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously I can't see you raise your right hand, but do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You have a few minutes to give your public comment.
Alrighty. Hello, my name is Mr. King. My connection to the Little Beaver Brewery is that I live in the Currency Commons apartment buildings nearby. For those unaware, the business in question is at 16 Currency Drive, and our apartment facility is at 9 Currency Drive. This zone is not a residential area, but we are within close proximity to this business. Now, we have 63 units here, and I've been a resident for over 13 years. And I will say that one of the most compelling reasons to live in this area is, in fact, the quiet area that we have. And so far, the brewery down the street has been a nice addition to the neighborhood. I know that some of our residents do partake in their business and are glad to have them nearby, and it's good to see that they are expanding. I just have concern about noise that may emanate from the business with this new redefinition of a serving area outside.
Okay.
There have been previous incidents with other businesses around the city, most notably those on Wood Street and another on Maple Hill Road, that have resulted in much back and forth between noise complaints, the owner and the commission. So in the interest of preventing that type of situation, I was curious if there would be any sort of restrictions that would be put in place on this license, perhaps limiting the outdoor consumption area to the east side of the building, which it sounds like that is the direction that they are already leaning towards, and perhaps a restriction on amplified music being produced from the establishment. That's about all I have to say. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out.
Thank you, Mr. King. Actually, I do have of our petitioner. Again, you are still sworn in, and Mr. Beaver, what you are thinking of doing this on the east side of the building? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how late might you have live music if you had live music?
I would say if we were to do that, it'd be probably 10 o'clock would be the latest. But anytime we've done outdoor event type things, most of our clientele is more of daytime crowd, I guess you could say. So it'd probably be more of a daytime thing that every parking lot party we've done, we're pretty much wrapped up by 8 or 9 o'clock. And by 10, we're cleaned up and put away and ready to go home. So I wouldn't see much changing with this in the future.
Okay, Mr. Boyle, I wonder if you could clarify, our our noise ordinance kicks in at 11 o'clock, is that correct?
It tends to get a little more, I think it's 10 o'clock that it kicks in.
10 o'clock? Okay.
And, in this case, if there's an agreement, maybe we could say that there wouldn't be loud music or amplified music or music at all after 10 o'clock or something like that. Or
Okay.
That may be, sounds like the direction where we may be going.
And then, again, it's, I do know the currency of apartments that he's talking about right by Gold's Gym there. And, it may be that it is primarily a business area, but there may be some concerns that we can balance here. I wonder if I could hear from my liquor commissioners. Any thoughts on this, Commissioner Powell or Commissioner Jordan?
From my perspective, it sounds like Chad's had several parking lot parties, and it seems like there's been no problems with that. So, and it sounds like he's not going to stay open past 10 o'clock. So to me, I think the noise, it doesn't seem to be an issue, a current issue. So I don't foresee it being a future issue.
Okay. And we've had, Mr. Boyle, you did confirm that we've had a clean record out there?
That's correct. I'm not aware. I think AC Scott is on the line. He may be able to confirm or deny if there's anything on that, but I am not aware of anything from the legal department's perspective, such as complaints or citations or issues with regard to noise.
Chief Scott, could you weigh in on that question or that issue? Has there been any issues out there?
Unmute him. Okay.
We've had none. I mean, I just
No,
speaking
no,
of
I'm
our
sorry.
business.
I was asking Officer Scott. Actually, I guess he would have to be sworn in, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ms. Clerk.
Swear Officer Scott in.
Okay. Chief Scott,
Yeah, go ahead.
do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. There have been no complaints about liquor or noise violations at Little Beaver.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner,
Sure.
any questions of Officer Scott or any comments?
I don't think I have any other than, does the 10 o'clock hour cause any problems for the person who called in?
Let me unmute him.
King?
Mr.
Yes, and I think we also, in addition to having him answer the commissioner's question, we should also offer Mr. King the ability to ask questions of the applicant, of Mr. Beavers, if he wishes.
Okay, but let's go ahead and, Mr. King,
Yes.
do you have any concerns about the 10 o'clock time period?
A 10 o'clock time frame sounds reasonable. My major concern is actually more of a sustained type of noise from music being played outside via amplification, or just noise level of patrons to equal or exceed the volume of the music. So I do agree with what has been said by the others, that there have not been any complaints regarding this business. I would just like to make sure that this issue is discussed ahead of time. They have not, done anything wrong yet. I feel somewhat a little bad about, maybe bringing up a concern before it happens, but I just want to ensure that one of the key benefits to this location, which is the quiet, is maintained even if this license is granted.
Do you have any questions of Mr. Beavers?
I believe he already answered my one question, in that he is looking to build this on the east side of the building, which is beneficial for us because that is on the opposite side of where we are located. We are in the northwestern corner from him. So as it stands right now, it sounds like this will probably work out. I just wanted to make sure that this issue was brought up ahead of time.
Thank you very much, Mr. King. We very much appreciate your participation. Educate us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Okay. At this point, do we have from liquor commissioners, a motion on this?
I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Just for a point of clarification, this is without an endpoint condition, right? I mean, it's part of the record that that's what we're discussing or what Mr. Beavers has said it would be, but just so we know, this is without a 10 o'clock endpoint condition or anything like that, right?
Correct, as presented. Yes, Madam.
Okay, that's fine. It's just when we're deciphering these sometimes to prepare the memo for council, we just want to be clear what the commission's saying.
Correct. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes,
Commissioner Renner.
Yes. Thank you very much, and thank you very much. Look forward to what you're able to do out there, Mr. Beavers.
Great, thank you.
We're going to move along to a public hearing on Las Margaritas Mexican Bar and Grill at 3505 Valley Bunyan Road, requesting an RES license. And we're going to go ahead and we just took for the record, we do not have anyone speaking on this, either pro or con. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That's correct.
Okay. At this point, would you go ahead and swear the petitioner in?
Sure. Mr. Reyes, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Reyes, can you tell us a little bit about the enterprise that you have and that you have proposed?
We are located, the restaurant that I have right now, it's located in Mount Zion. We've been open for 3 years already. The city of Mount Zion are really good to us. They welcome us. We haven't had any problems with them.
Underage drinking issues or any problems?
No, not whatsoever. Our staff, we're really strict about that. Everyone has their own, everyone has their Bassett training. So everyone already knows how to card people and when to stop serving people when they're already, signs of intoxication.
Preempted another question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
Like I said, we
obviously have experience and everybody's going to be Bassett trained. Anything else you want to add?
Not that I know of, unless you guys have a question for me, I can try to answer.
We're going to open it up. And we're going to go ahead and start. Any of our liquor commissioners, Mr. Jordan, Commissioner Jordan or Commissioner Powell?
I suppose I don't have the information in front of me. What are your hours? Are they going to vary depending on the day of the week or what?
Yes, so our hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. through 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday till 10 p.m.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Jordan or Commissioner Powell?
No questions for me.
No more questions from me.
Is there a motion to approve or on this, since we heard no objections?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think moved by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Jordan. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes. Thank you very much and good luck. Next.
Thank you. Sorry. Can I ask one more question? Or?
Oh yeah, of course.
Mr. Beaver, he grabbed my attention. So basically, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Cinco De Mayo. It's one of the biggest holidays of the year for Mexican restaurants. Usually in Mount Zion, we have an event outside the parking lot too. And I think Amanda told me about if I ever wanted to do, or thinking about doing something like that outside over here at Bloomington. We're kind of almost near like neighborhoods, residential. But I'm not really sure if the previous business that was there before us, El Toro, ever did something like that before, held any events outside.
You could have a petition for an extension, essentially a one-shot extension of premises in it, but you'd have to do it well in advance of May 5th.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, with regard to that, you're not intending to have an outdoor space that's utilized regularly, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, you may apply for that later on. I don't know what your setup is, but I'm just saying you're not intending at this point to serve alcohol outside regularly. Okay.
No, not right now. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can apply with the clerk's office for what we call it, an extension of premises that's temporary. This is George Boyle, the Assistant Corporation Counsel, and you can apply with the clerk's office for that. Now, if it is near a neighborhood, you may have to communicate with the neighbors some, or perhaps keep an earlier hours for the festival than you might if you were out in in the middle of nowhere where there were no residences. So
Right.
we can talk about it at that time.
Okay.
Mr.
When the
Reyes,
application comes.
Okay.
Mr. Reyes, Assistant Chief Scott. Mr. Reyes, that current restaurant has an outdoor patio where they used to serve meals on and alcohol out there. Are you not planning to use that space?
I was thinking about it, but I think we do. I think we do want to try to serve food and alcohol.
Okay, so I don't know if that makes a difference, Mr. Boyle, on the application.
Well, yeah. I guess the question is, and in this regard, I'm in the similar position to Commissioner Jordan in this respect. Is a license that is being described in the diagrams for service, is that going to include an outdoor service and consumption area, the patio area?
Yes.
Yeah,
It is, okay. Well, I'm not sure that that's a problem as long as the commissioners are aware of that and comfortable with that.
I think that was the assumption of the diagram that we got that we just approved. But anyway, yeah, if you want an extension of premises, so like going to your parking lot or something on Cinco de Mayo, that would be an extension of premises. That would be a separate application, and you would want to do that several months in advance of May 5th. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we move to item 8, which is a continued hearing on Chasers at 110 West Washington. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Boyle to see what our latest situation here is.
Just a little background on this. This had to do with some citations for underage minors in taverns that were issued by the Bloomington Police. This particular case has not settled through agreement, and the parties are engaging in negotiations and discovery, that is, we're trading information. And we intend to continue the hearing. The parties have agreed to continue the hearing to the next regularly scheduled Liquor Commission, which is June 9th.
Okay.
At 4 p.m.
What do you need from us at this point, Mr. Boyle, as we're continuing this?
Nothing else on this matter.
Okay, this is just more for our information.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions from the liquor commissioners?
No question.
No, I have none.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so we'll move on to our last substantive item here, and this is a public hearing, a first appearance on, well, actually, I guess it's not technically a public hearing. It's a first appearance on PSM Shell, and that's located at 2401 East Oakland Avenue for failure to pay City of Bloomington motor fuel taxes in violation of Chapter 6, Section 37 of the Bloomington City Code, as requested by the legal department. And I'm going to turn to Mr. Boyle to give us a little bit of background on this. As I understand it, we've had, there's a serious problem here with the inability to pay taxes that were collected from customers to the city on time. Is that correct, Mr. Boyle?
Well, I don't know that I guess if I could back up and just give you some background. Yes, there has been a failure to pay taxes. Long story short, and I'll tell you, I'm going to just give you a little background, and then I'd like to take some testimony from our finance person. My understanding, too, is that Mr. Maida, who is the owner of the business, is available and wants to make a statement and answer questions as well. With respect to this, the monthly motor fuel tax for February was not paid on time. Actually, there was an attempted payment made. I'm not clear whether that was on time or not, but the check was NSF, not sufficient funds. And yesterday, an amount was paid that would cover the original amount of tax that was due and for that month. There were some documents involved in this, but because they related to to tax remittance forms and so on, I thought we might best be able to do this verbally. You all should have a copy of the complaint. Mr. Maida had one as well, and he sent us his copy. And you'll notice that the complaint there says that the licensee corporation is summoned to appear before the Liquor Commission and explain why they shouldn't be have their license revoked or be suspended or fined or otherwise sanctioned for failure to pay taxes as required by Chapter 6, Section 37E12 of the Bloomington Code. The fines that are available in that event are from $250 to $3,500, and they can be per day. Generally speaking, we have not done per diem fines in the first instance, failure to pay taxes. At any rate, I'd ask for a little bit of time here to take testimony from financial department staff.
Well, that's the question here. This is not really a public hearing.
Well, actually, it is a public hearing. The public have the ability to attend, electronically, and they also have the ability to testify. If someone came and said, "I know about this, I want to testify," they'd have the ability to testify.
But it's not listed as a public hearing like items 5, 6, and 7, and 8 were. It's not listed.
No, because it's still done in public and it's still done in the open. The only difference is it's not a public hearing in the sense that it's a legislative public hearing. This is an administrative public hearing. So it deals with a specific situation involving the city and the applicant. However, it is open to the public to testify.
Question I have, Mr. Boyle, is that do people need to be sworn in given that it's not technically a public hearing or it's not listed?
Yes. Yes, I think they need to be sworn in.
Okay. And who do you have from our staff?
Ted Kaczynski.
Mr. Kaczynski, are you on the line? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Madam Clerk, would you please swear in Mr. Kaczynski?
Mr. Kaczynski, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Well, I'd already asked you to state your name, so we've got that done. But could you state what your position is with the city of Bloomington?
Well, the city of Bloomington, the calculations that we went through are standard. There's no real difference in this situation.
But you're employed by the finance department for the city of Bloomington, is that correct?
That is correct.
And what's your title there?
Financial services manager.
Okay, whoa.
Okay, and in that capacity, are you conversant?
Hello, Mr. Boyle, Mr. Kaczynski, I have a question. Can everybody hear me? So if you're hearing me and I'm asking you a question, I'm running the hearing. So I need you to, when I'm asking a question, we need to have that affirmed. Okay, so again, Mr. Kaczynski, Mr. Boyle, I guess it seems like that there were some problems in hearing me. Mr. Kaczynski, yes, your first question was your position within the city.
I'm the financial services manager.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boyle, continue, please.
All right, thank you. In that capacity, are you familiar with the records kept for payment of motor fuel tax?
Yes.
Did this establishment pay motor fuel tax for the month of February 2020 on time, in a timely fashion?
They initially paid on time. The check, though, back NSF after that time period.
Were they informed of that?
Yes.
And how was that done?
By email, which is what we have done in the past.
Okay. Now, My understanding is that the February payment of taxes were due March 25th of 2020. Is that accurate?
Yes.
All right. And are you able to say when they were informed that the check had insufficient funds?
I'd have to go look that up, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Would it be fair to say that it was prior to the filing of the complaint before the Liquor Commission on April 13th, 2020?
Yes, that would be correct.
And do you have an amount of taxes that were due and owing?
It's the $7,037.70.
Can you describe how you came to that figure?
You take the principal less the discount, 1% discount, add interest for 2 months, add a standard late fee and an NSF fee.
All right, so the figure that you gave us of $7,037 includes penalties and interest for the period from March 25th to the present. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. The figure that you gave us of $7,037 in some sense. Does that include any fine assessed by the Liquor Commission?
No, it does not.
No. I have no further questions.
Just to clarify, that does include how much of that is a penalty of that $7,037? Do you know, Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes. The 5% late fee is $323.62. Out of that.
So that's the late fee of that $7,000. And when was this actually due? Do you know, Mr. Kaczynski?
It is due March 25th.
It was due March 25th, and we're in to May 12th. And
that's correct.
We did get some money yesterday. Is that correct, Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
And
yes, we
how much
did.
did we get yesterday?
We received a total of $6,909.55.
Okay, and why is that a little bit lower than the total amount?
That is the amount stated in the complaint and citation from the legal department.
I see. Okay. My other liquor commissioners, and then I think in fairness, we need to swear in the defendant and give him the opportunity to ask questions. But first, our liquor commissioners, Mr. Jordan or Commissioner Powell or Commissioner Jordan, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Jordan?
No, not at this time until we get all the information, I think.
Okay. Mr.
If I may, Mayor?
Yes.
Just a word of clarification. When Mr. Kaczynski is talking about the amount that's referred to on the complaint, the commissioners may see that amount on the complaint, which said the current amount of taxes, fees, and penalties due as of the filing of this complaint are, and they'll see the amount there that he's referring to.
Okay. So essentially what we have here is a situation, and just to review the facts, this was due March 25th, and then we did get a payment, not quite covering everything, but we, at least of what was stated here, but no fines that we levied as of yesterday, May 11th. So that's approximately 6 weeks. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I'd say, I mean, the penalties and fees that were due as of April 13th have been paid, but it's the city's position that the penalties and fees due from April 13th to May 11th, when it was paid, haven't been paid. And of course, there isn't a fine yet because the issue of the extent, if any, of the fine, the nature and extent of the fine is still before the commission this afternoon.
Right. So essentially we have another month where there was $7,000 that was collected by customers owed to the city that was not paid to the city. Is that a fair assessment, Mr. Boyle?
That's our position, Mayor, but
okay,
we'd make that as an argument at the end here.
Okay.
But
Mr.
yes.
Maida, Madam Clerk, could you swear in Mr. Maida?
Absolutely. Mr. Maida, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Maida, we wanted to start out, of course, with your response or whatever questions you might have.
Yes. Honorable Mayor, Honorable all the liquor commissioners and ladies and gentlemen, I'm one of the owners of the PSM shed, and due to COVID-19 and because of the closure of our State Farm business, we are experiencing very, very bad business. The business was dropped from 3,500 gallons per day to something like 500 to 800 gallons per day. And we normally collect the money and pay the tax out of it. On that particular March, our check was returned because it was little bit less than $6,407.77. And because the check was returned, we received the liquor commissioner's letter that we must pay $6,909.55 before May 12th to take care of all the taxes, unpaid taxes, interest, and the penalties. And we were given the date of May 12th, 2020. We paid that amount yesterday, which was May 11th, 2020. And it was because of a good advice of Mr. Boyle that I should pay the money before the hearing, so which we did. And I think whatever we were asked to do from the office of the liquor commissioner, we did. Our business is still not in that great shape. We are asking for the loan from the bank, which is approved, and will be going with some support from the loan. But the business has been not as good as used to be before. Particularly the gallons, the cars are not coming. We don't have as many people coming to the store for the convenient mart, and we are trying to barely break even and stay in the business. And this particular happened, and we are hoping you will understand and give us take care of us, so that we can continue in whatever capacity we can. Whatever we are collecting, sometime it goes to pay the other bills. We have not taken any money in last 6 months as an individual. As a matter of fact, we put in the money. So we are not abusing that funds which we are getting as a tax or as an income from the business. We are trying to survive the next few months until the business picks up according to in general, it picks up in the summer, which we are hoping that it is coming. But because of the COVID-19, I don't know how long we have to wait. We are expecting some outside fund to come to help us. That's all I want to say. But we have taken care of whatever was asked us in the letter, which was $6,909.55. We paid with the cashier's checks. 2 cashier's check we paid yesterday.
Thank you. And certainly we do sympathize with all small businesses in this really difficult time of COVID-19. There's no question about that. And I'm sorry that you're experiencing those problems. The difficulty here is that this is, you would owe less money if you do less business. So this is money that you have collected from your customers. And so this is, it's not like a general tax. This is money that you're collecting, and there'd be less money to pay that you've gotten from your customers. And it does violate our laws. And that's what's very, very difficult. And you may need to get a loan, but you can't get a loan from your customers in the city of Bloomington. And that's what this essentially amounts to. It also amounts to us taking staff time, legal time, the clerk, our attorney, and now a public hearing. And I don't know how I tell other businesses as mayor and liquor commissioner that you've got to pay your bills on time. And when you collect money from your customers, that you've got to pay that money if we don't have a fine that is implemented. And anyway, I'm summarizing it as I see it as mayor and liquor commissioner. Other liquor commissioners, Mr. Jordan, Commissioner Powell, other questions, comments?
Well, I think that you pretty much summed it up, that they're actually utilizing money that they've already collected from their customers, which is separate from other issues. So my point would be is they would be responsible to reimburse or to finish it, pay the fine as it was stated. And if the penalties continue, that's what they probably should look at.
Okay. Commissioner Powell?
I also agree with that, Mayor, with what you had said.
Okay. Well, and you do realize, Mr. Maida, that the law allows us to fine between $250 and $3,500, including that amount potentially per day. Now, I don't think going down that path, because this is a first offense, certainly not per day, but our standard fine at the really low end has been about $600 for a variety of fines, for a variety of transgressions. This one, given that it was late to begin with, we had a bounce check, and then we had yet another month from April 13th to May 11th. Seems like a pretty substantial period of time. Do you have anything to say to that, Mr. Maida?
I was kind of confused because the letter says pay before May 12th. If I had known that it has to be paid on the April 13th, I would have borrowed the money to pay that on 13th of April. I got confused the way the letter says that pay before May 12th. That's why I paid on May 11th.
Okay.
The
amount was due March 25th.
Right. It was written.
It was due over 2 weeks before April 13th. It may be the confusion is that this is the day of the 12th was the day of the liquor commission. Maybe that's where the confusion arises. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just misunderstood. I thought I should pay before May 12th. If I understood it has to be paid by April 13th, I would have managed to get the money somehow.
I see.
But
and you did work with our legal department, but you I believe there, Mr. Boyle, do you want to add something to this from your perspective? Mr. Boyle?
Excuse me, I had to mute myself, take my mute off there. Yes, well, with responding to that, we did tell Mr. Maida a figure yesterday, and that included the fees and costs that were in addition that had been assessed from the period of April 13th through May 11th, and he disagreed with it, and for the reasons he's stating. And so I felt that, I mean, he had a right to make his own statement in that regard. I will point out that the complaint, what he calls a letter, but the complaint he's referring to, the city, by the way, did not send any other letters, in terms of subsequent to the complaint. The complaint was already, now there were there was email correspondence on Saturday, where we described that the city was willing to settle this matter for a $600 fine plus payment of all taxes, delinquencies, and interest. But looking at that complaint, you will not see the word "before" anywhere in that complaint. Pay before, it's not written anywhere on that complaint. It's saying as of the filing of this complaint, and the complaint's dated April 13th. Otherwise, there'd be no incentive for people to pay. So maybe I can't read Mr. Maida's mind, but so I don't know what he thought, but I do know what it said.
Okay. At this point, I wonder any further comments from my liquor commissioners before I propose a solution, or if you have solutions in terms of fines.
I don't think, well, I think whatever you've arrived at with the approval of the legal department, if that satisfies everybody's needs, then I think that's all that needs to be done.
Commissioner Powell?
I agree.
Okay. Well, I think given the fact that there was a fine yesterday that was at $600, I think given the fact that we had to have a meeting and hearing on this, where it could have been decided, I think that what we need to have is at least set a precedent that you don't get the same deal if we've got to go through a hearing like this, and that we've got to have our attorney's time and our staff time and our liquor commissioner's time, the mayor's time, all of us coming back here. I'm going to also assume the best of intentions. So of the fines, which could go up to $3,500, I'm going to make it $900. And is that okay with our liquor commissioners? Any concerns about that $900 figure?
I think 900 is fair.
Mr.
I do as well.
Okay. All right. So you have an additional fine of $900, and I hope we don't have to worry about this in the future.
What?
I think
Two questions, Mayor.
Yes.
First of all, does that fine include, or
that's on top of $7,300?
Does it include the payment of interest and penalties for the period from April 13th through May 11th, which
that's what I'm assuming. So
you're getting to that? Okay. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to clarify. Go ahead.
Mr. Maida owes $7,037.70, correct?
That's correct.
As of April 13th.
As of May, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Had he paid by May 11th, but now that we've gone further, I'm adding $800 or $900 to that amount that's due. If
that's correct.
Liquor license. Okay.
Can I say something?
I mean, at this point, we're done, Mr. Maida. I heard what you had to say, and I really appreciate the difficulties that small businesses are going through. But this is an unusual situation, and I'm very sorry about it. But I hope that we don't have to worry about this in the future. I think we're done here, and we've had I had concurrence by our liquor commissioners. We're moving forward as long as Mr. Boyle understands what this means.
Just in terms of putting this in an order,
yes.
The licensee would have 30 days to pay. Is there a time limit? A time that this should be paid within? More or less than 30?
Since he's paid most of it, let's give him 60 days to pay the $900.
Okay, and then in addition to the $900, will he also be paying the difference between what he paid yesterday and the $7,037
Yes.
that finance states that he owes as of yet?
I think this is $900 on top of the $7,037.70. Because otherwise it wouldn't be an additional $900. It would be $900 minus some cost.
So the entire amount due will be the $7,937 and some cents minus the amount paid yesterday, which was some $6,900. I don't have it in front of me.
Correct. And then let's give him 60 days to pay that.
Okay, I'll draw up an order accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we don't have any old or new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Jordan. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Powell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you all very much. And good to see you, Jim. Glad you're back.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Appreciate it.